Hey everyone. Today I'm going to be drawing a cat's eye. And what I've started doing, I already drew this square on the screen, and the square is to kind of help shape the eye for ourselves. So I've got it in blue so that way I can separate the eye from this construction shape. But basically, where you want to start is kind of down in the bottom left corner. So, and I'm going to actually start a little past that, just to give it a little bit kind of a point. But at this point, we're basically just following the square until just slightly more than halfway up. So I'm doing this lightly, just so I can get the shape I want. So right about there. And it's okay if you go outside the square a little bit. It's not a huge deal. We want to go around, and then kind of when you get to about this point, you want to start curving around again and meet up with the other side of the square. And then you're just following that blue line down until you get about slightly below the halfway point on this side. And you start curving around again. Like that. And then we're just following the square. So once I have that shape basically the way I want it, you can manipulate and change whatever you want, but at this point you're just kind of smoothing out some lines. Get them looking the way you want it. Kind of give it a little bit of a pointed look to it. And start continuing to smooth out those lines a little bit. Just like that. Cool. So we have the basic eye shape. Now we're going to start getting the inner part of the eye. So again, starting lightly, kind of this much space in between, but as you come down, you want to start widening that space out. So if you look how I'm doing this, as you can see, it's narrow, kind of right up here. And then as I go down, widening it out. And I start coming around. And this is where you want to stay inside the shape that we just made, this eye shape we just made. And keep it going around. Just like that. So basically what we've done is we've made these kind of sharp ovals, almost like a lemon shape, an oddly drawn lemon shape. Just getting all this smoothed out. Now we want to get that pupil in there. So I kind of want to identify where the center of the eye is. Just kind of like that. Just give me an idea about where, because we're having the eyeball look directly at you. So this helps me to just know where it's looking. So now, this line here that I've made, I want to start not quite at the top there, but slightly below. And then I start coming around like this. Now I like to think of this as like one of those kind of really pretty Christmas tree ornaments is what I'm going to be making. Come down like this, right about there. Okay, and then we're going to start coming back up. And come up to the top here, and what I'm going to do is this. This is going to look a little awkward. I'm going to actually create a half moon shape in there. And then we're going to come down just like that. And the reason why we made that half moon is because we're going to do a reflective area where the light would be hitting the eyeball. So that's what that's going to be representing. And we'll get to that here in a little bit. But at this point, what I want to do is just go ahead and get that pupil kind of colored in. So we have the bulk of it ready to go. So I'm just going to smooth some things out here, get them the way I want them to look. Cool. So now what I want you to do is create these weird looking lines. So we're going to go to the point here. I'm just going to go like that, and then this. And we're basically kind of looking at the middle here. But now we're going to keep going. One here, kind of in between the lines we just made. And I just keep going it like this. Now, if you discover that this is a little too time consuming for you, that's fine. Do what works for you and go from there. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to finish going around, but I'm basically be making a bunch of different lines, but I'm probably just going to edit this part of the video out. So the next clip you're going to see is kind of the fully realized version of these little lines. Okay, so as you can see, I've just put some lines all the way around the eye. Now what I'm going to do is blend that all together. Now, if you have a blending stump, go ahead and use that. If you don't, you can just use like the side of your pencil to kind of blend things together. But for what I'm going to do, I've got a different tool on my tablet, so I'm going to use that for the blending part of this. But you see right here, I'm kind of getting things blend, like starting dark, and then I'm going to work my way out just to get a blend in there. Because when we're working with eyes, you know, this part of the eye right here, as you work your way out, the light starts to change. But this is kind of how I'm doing this. Just kind of getting all that blended together and showing the different value of the light. And working my way out. And as you can see, as I'm lightening up as I go from out to in. Just like that. So I'll probably cut this video out and get the whole eye done the way I want it, and then we'll move on to the next thing. So the next step, as you can see, I've kind of blended things together using light and whatnot. Over here, the part where I'm showing that reflective part with the light going in the eye, this right here, it's mostly the same technique. You're just kind of creating a circle and blending that circle so you get that kind of effect. So if you like that idea, go ahead and do that. It's a really fun way of showing light hitting something very reflective. So the next thing is I'm just going to kind of go around this eye, the outer part of the eye, and just getting this kind of blended in to show you know, the different values and whatnot. Now, one thing I want to point out, I would recommend here on the bottom, blending the bottom part, but then once you get up to the top part, blending this part of it. Just to show consistency in your light source. So I made mine a little too narrow, but that's okay. Just like that. So now again, if you have a blending stump, you can do that with this. So you can have like lines, pencil lines on there, and then blend all that together. But if you don't, just use your pencil, blend all that together. You can even use like a paper towel or a napkin or a tissue, some kind of tissue, to get all that blended together. So then I have this basically kind of the way I want. You know, I might go back and change a few things up like I'm doing right now. But at this point, if you want to add some details, you can. Now I'm going to get rid of this square that I made. So this is kind of how that looks. It's a little rough around the edges. I might smooth that out later, but it's not as important to me. But just for fun, let's actually go here. I'm going to start creating some fur. Now, if you decide to make fur, great. Try to make the strokes of the hair all different sizes from one another. Now, what I typically like to do is I like to go in sets of 3 or 4. So I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and notice how each one of those strands, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one of those strands of hair are all different different sizes and lengths. So, yeah, I'm just kind of going and just doing what feels natural with this. Just like that. Now, what you can do for sure is use this technique, or for if you're drawing like a face, the face of a cat. You can actually use that if the eyes just aren't coming out the way you want to. You can always block it out by drawing that square really lightly. And using that just to get you started on how to draw, to get that cat's eye drawn. So, but I am gonna finish this up here. I'm gonna send this out to Mr. Oakes. I'll also send this out to Miss Neff, and you guys can do exactly what I'm doing. You can also look up other cat's eyes online and try to draw those. Totally up to you, but this is a basic starting point for you to learn how to draw a cat's eyes, or if you know any other animals that have like a pointed kind of look to their eyeball. So lizards, snakes, alligators, anything that has this kind of naturally menacing look in their eyes. You can use that method to teach yourself how to draw those eyes. So anyways, that's all I got. Try this out. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, see if you can create some other techniques that'll work for yourself. So, but that's all I got. And I hope you guys are staying warm because it's a massive snow out there.